Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh yeah.
What?
Good morning, Rico.
What? Come on, man.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Little mushroom flower shirt.
Like that? You like that? I'm flexing it.
I like that. Pretty fancy.
That's
Pretty
you
fancy.
with your printed shit every day, man. I'm trying to get up with you, man.
We're having a Valentine's Day party over here, so I decided to wear red today.
Oh man.
I went Barbiecore for the occasion.
My caps are red. So welcome back, everybody. You're now tuned into High at 9 News. Thank you for joining not only High at 9 with us, but also High Noon on the East Coast. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. It is Friday. No, it's not. It's Thursday, February 9th. Today's National Cut the Cord Day. Celebrate your independence and watch a little Frozen and do like Elsa. National Develop Alternative Vices Day. So you can maybe drop that D8 and put a little THCO in your life. National Pizza Day. Say less. And National Toothache Day. For the real ones amongst us, we will not participate. And finally, National Bagel and Lox Day, an excellent breakfast sandwich combo, no matter what Kanye West thinks. Everybody out there watching, please like, share, and hit the subscribe button and follow us at High 9 News across all social media platforms. We're live on weekday mornings on YouTube and Twitch, audio only on Clubhouse. If you do choose the Clubhouse route, you can participate in the show, raising your hand and with a brief comment on the story presented. Getting things started today, y'all know who it is. It's the longest continuously operating retailer in the world, often found at Green Street, wheeling and dealing, mink coat rocking, private jet hopping, being Kaiser Brose as we know him. Jason Beck, what do you have for us today?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Rico. Appreciate that. Hope everyone's having an amazing Thursday. We're almost to Friday. But also, too, I want to make sure that everyone knows out there that we just yesterday went live on podcast form. So all of our January and February episodes you can find on iTunes or Apple, whatever it's called, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and a few others and whatnot. So make sure that you go out there, download a few episodes, help build up the algorithm for us, and let's keeping it rolling. You know what I'm saying? But today, my story is something that happens to a lot of people, and this state happens to be dealing with it currently. Out there in the great state of Michigan and all of my Michigander friends, that's right, White Gucci is back, because legal marijuana in Michigan, but employers can drug test for it, and what workers need to know. That's right. As more and more adult use marijuana dispensaries open around Michigan, and notably in big cities like Detroit, oh yeah, employers are increasingly confronted with questions about how to handle testing employees for cannabis. Some Michigan employers began re-examining drug testing policies back in 2008 when medical cannabis was legalized in Michigan. Employment lawyers and staffing firm executives say the movement to re-examine these policies gained momentum again in 2018 when adult use cannabis was legalized, and again in recent years as employers have struggled to hire people. On recent example, last week, the Detroit Free Press reported that the state of Michigan rejected 151 job applicants last year who had already received conditional offers of employment after they tested positive for marijuana, according to the Office of State Employer, even as it faced a hiring crunch. That's more than triple the 49, that's more than triple the 49 failed marijuana tests back in 2018. The last year, adult use cannabis was illegal under state law, and it also did more than double the 71 failed marijuana tests resulting from the state hiring process back in 2021. Other companies and states around the country are grappling with an increase in positive tests for marijuana, and marijuana positivity surged. I like how they did that. Marijuana positivity surged in 2020 in the general U.S. workforce, according to most recent data available from Quest Diagnostics, a New Jersey-based company that analyzes millions of workplace drug tests every year. In states where adult use cannabis is legal, marijuana positively increased by the largest percentage compared with other states, from 2.2 in 2012 to 4.8% back in 2020. And a quote, "It's a real balancing act for my clients in a tight labor market to recruit and retain the workers while still maintaining drug policies that are consistent with a patchwork of state and local testing laws and still have a safe workplace." Brian Krucher, a labor and employment attorney at Royal Oak-based law firm Howard and Howard Attorneys PLLC, said. The Detroit Free Press talked with Krucher about how employers are approaching testing for marijuana and what it means to job seekers and workers. And this interview has been shortened for clarity, but there are 3 questions and answers that they asked during this, and I'm going to read these off to you. The question is, they say, are employers dropping marijuana from their pre-employment drug screening? The answer, he says, I've got some clients that have dropped it. Other clients tell me, nope, we're not having any difficulties. We're maintaining our policy that positive THC tests for applicants are a disqualifying factor, but others have dropped it because they have a work environment that might have fewer workplace safety concerns than a manufacturing facility, for example, where employees are around heavy equipment. He says, suppose it's a manufacturing facility where employees are around robots and dangerously heavy equipment. In that case, employers are probably more reluctant to drop marijuana from the panel because of the severe consequences of losing a limb or a life in a manufacturing facility. Second question. Given that marijuana is legal for adult use in Michigan, can an employer discipline or fire an employee if they test positive for marijuana on a drug screening? And the answer, they say, is this. The law is still such that no employer needs to accommodate even medical marijuana use in the workplace. They can discipline and fire employees if they are using while on duty or are impaired or under the influence while at work, as opposed to THC remains in the system for an extended period of time. We don't currently have any available testing that accurately would indicate a level of intoxication at a particular time. So employers might have an employee who tests positive for marijuana in a past accident drug test. Is that enough to fire the employee in Michigan? He asks. He says it would be, but employers really need to focus on the behavior and train their supervisors to recognize the signs of being under the influence of marijuana. Once in a while, employers will have the person caught on video vaping, for example, or a coworker witnessing the act, but by and large, they are not going to have that kind of smoking gun evidence. So then it's going to be incumbent on employers, supervisors to be able to identify, well, why do we think this person is impaired? It's good to have objective evidence, or slurred speech or glazed eyes, for example. Those glizzy eyes. Final question for you guys. President Joe Biden announced in October that he would ask the Department of Justice and Health and Human Services to review how marijuana should be scheduled under federal law. Currently, marijuana is considered a Schedule I substance, meaning it has no potential for abuse, or has only a potential for abuse, and no currently accepted medical use and treatment in the U.S. if marijuana is scheduled differently. How could that change drug testing? His answer is employers at the point marijuana is rescheduled or descheduled would want to take a close look at their drug policies. Many drug testing policies currently have a provision that says employers can take adverse employment action for illegal drug use under either state or federal law. And the federal law has been the caveat that many employers keep in their drug testing policies because it's still a Schedule 1 drug. Now, if that's dropped, their policies would have to be revised, they say. Well, I'll tell you what, in California, we have a thing out here where you can't be discriminated in work for your use of cannabis. And not only that, but you're also allowed to have a beer on your lunch break, which means the same thing for cannabis, that you could smoke a joint on your lunch break and not get fired. But that's California and not Michigan. And this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all have to say?
It's crazy. It's ridiculous. I'm sick of it.
You're on mute, Mark. You're on mute.
I'm on mute.
No, I can hear him.
I can hear him too.
You're entirely right, Mark.
You gotta hit the mute button.
They shouldn't be able to test.
Oh.
You can hear him.
I agree. I mean, you know what's out here in California?
We're not getting you anything, Mark.
No, we can hear him.
No, we're not hearing anything. You're on mute.
I'm not on
Jason,
mute.
we can all hear you too.
Turn up your snare. Turn up his snare.
I can hear you, Mark. Talk to me, Mark.
Let me say it. Shut the fuck up, Jason.
Oh, and poor Jason. He doesn't get to hear the show.
So in California, as you may know, they create a law that they cannot do that anymore. They can't test for cannabis, but it doesn't go into effect until next year. We are getting calls every fucking day from people. I just got fired. I heard this law. It's like the businesses and their attorney. Hey, fire everybody now. You got to upload now before 2024. And that is what is happening. There's no built-in protection until it actually goes into effect. So, we got all kinds of problems. And to hear that happening in Michigan as well, go get drunk till 4 a.m. and go to work completely hungover. That's okay.
Right.
Because you're going to feel terrible. I mean, and you can't do that after a certain point. Your liver just can't manage those toxins fast enough, and you're going to have hangover the next day.
And what about the Ambien, guys? That's the thing that scares me the most.
Yeah.
Are these sleep medications that are perfectly acceptable and are, get it so you can sleep and come to work the next day all, zombied out and suicidal and homicidal. I mean,
and having
operating all that heavy machinery,
the whole cheesecake.
Well, I mean,
you're homicidal for that reason alone.
Right? But you can't move because you ate that cheesecake. See, it just balances out.
Dr. Mary, out in Michigan, are there a lot of? I know there are a lot of pharmaceutical companies out there too, right?
In Michigan, I think there's probably a bigger concentration, Rico, in Minnesota. And down in Indianapolis with Eli Lilly. But Dow is in Midland and is still a prominent company. And Upjohn is in Kalamazoo. So, yeah, we have some pharmaceutical company presence over on the West Coast.
I'm just thinking like this pharmaceutical company could be pushing this to get people drug tested, get people THC tested.
Oh, yeah. I think that if you want to know who's against cannabis, it's going to be the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies. I mean, when patients say over and over that they stopped 3 pills, that's pretty common. But I have patients tell me they've stopped 10 pills once they start smoking regularly as their form of medicine. And nobody wants to hear that if you're selling the pills,
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Is that all we got on this?
Are you better now, Jason?
Yeah. I had to refresh. I apologize for that, you guys. My bad. I hit refresh, and all of a sudden I could hear you guys all clamoring up.
Is my mic weak right now?
I mean, your mic sounds fine to me. I don't know what Adam's talking about, but nonetheless, we got to run a quick ad. We got to keep running the show.
All right.
You You want to grow some of the best weed in the world? Then you must start with the best genetics in the world. Go to www.dnagenetics.shop to order regular, feminized, or autoflower beans. All of your favorite DNA genetics cultivars such as Kosher Kush, Skywalker Kush, and oh yeah, Chocolate Truffle Shuffle. Boasting more cannabis awards for their award-winning genetics than any other company in the world. Remember to go to www.dnagenetics.shop to see why our terps don't lie. Oh yeah, well, coming up next, he's the dope dad. That's right, one of the dopest dads in the street, hidden, you know what I'm saying? Hanging and banging, you know what I'm saying? If you ever catch him pounding sand, it's only because you know that he's over at the beach building sandcastles with Zozo. That's right, is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Ooh, I like the little harp there too, a little harp action in there with it. All right, so my headline today is from Reuters by Mike Scarcella. Miracle Grow subsidiary is accusing an investment firm of cannabis ploy. So it looks like Burner's billion-dollar lifestyle brand's hitting yet another legal hurdle on the way to New York City legal retail market. As Cookie's parent company, TerraSend, and their biggest investor, JW Asset Management, is being accused of none other than Scott's Miracle Grow and their subsidy, Hawthorne Gardening Company. Why? For making shady backdoor deals to block their own entry into northern New Jersey and New York markets. Per the article, Hawthorne's claiming TerraSend tried to ruin their $175 million interest in cannabis industry acquisition firm. In a lawsuit filed Monday in Manhattan federal court, Scott's Miracle Grow subsidiary accused JW Asset Management, LLC, and TerraSend Corp. Of violating U.S. antitrust laws for their bid to dominate the board of directors of cannabis acquisition firm RIV Capital. With the help of Hawthorne's multi-million-dollar investment last year, RIV Capital acquired New York area cannabis cultivation and retail company Etain LLC for $247 million. According to the lawsuit, TerraSend also wanted to buy Etain, which is a holder of one of the original medical licenses in New York. And the lawsuit alleges JW Asset Management, the largest shareholder in RIV Capital, sought to oust three Hawthorne nominated directors who serve on RIV's board and replace them with their own picks. A complaint written by Hawthorne lawyer Peter Saferstein read this. The defendants' attacks on and attempts to take control of RIV Capital violate federal antitrust law. Legal representatives from both JW Asset Management and TerraSend have remained silent on this to the media since it first broke early yesterday. Canadian Exchange listed TerraSend as cannabis operations in California, New Jersey, Maryland, and elsewhere. Hawthorne claimed in the filing the series of anti-competitive or otherwise wrongful and improper actions were undertaken to stop RIV Capital's entry into the New Jersey market. And stopping RIV Capital's move into New York would reduce industry competition to the benefit of TerraSend. Saferstein did not immediately reply to any messages seeking comment, and neither did a representative from Ohio-based Scott's, which created Hawthorne Collective in 2021 for, quote, strategic minority investments in certain areas of the cannabis industry, before seeing $3.92 billion in sales for the fiscal year of 2022. Per MJ Biz Daily's Chris Roberts, they now run 3 retail outlets in New Jersey and is one of the only 4 MSOs licensed within northern New Jersey, adjacent to New York City. The company reported in August 2022 investor deck filed in court along with the lawsuit, making TerraSend one of the only operators in the New York City metro area. New York registered vertically integrated companies, including Etain, are prohibited from entry into the adult use market until nonprofit and social equity operator-owned dispensaries open first. TerraSend owns interests in major brands, including California-based retail chain The Apothecarium, Michigan-headquartered Gage Growth Group. Through Gage, TerraSend owns Cookies branded stores in 3 Michigan cities, as well as Toronto, and has exclusive rights to Cookies brand in New Jersey. And this whole Cookies thing is becoming the first multi-billion-dollar international lifestyle cannabis brand. It's getting messier by the week, I swear. First, New York draft regs explicitly stated no cannabis companies are allowed to use food in their names. And then they said neon or bright colored branding. And now they're getting slapped up with the antitrust suit for trying to corner the Manhattan market by none other than Scott's Miracle Grow. It'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out. Welcome to the New York Big Leagues cookies. Big and Puff said it best back in 97, mo money, mo problems. This is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. I would like to hear Marc Wasserman's take on this one. We got a big lawyer in the house. What do you think about this, man? Is Cookie going to be all right here? Or are they in trouble?
A lot of people are getting in trouble. You know, a lot of these licensed legal companies, multi-state operators, they've been doing, you all heard what happened to Cushy Punch. And, it really hurts the small operators when these large operators that have all this money, supposedly, MedMen, I just heard something about them tanking or whatever.
Yeah, we covered that a couple days ago.
Yep. Yeah, I heard that. And all these huge companies that are being destroyed and have done everything wrong by all accounts.
They can't cut in the big leagues.
I'll tell you what.
You're against multi-billion-dollar firms now. They're cutting them off at the knees.
TerrAscend better watch their back, because right now, I'll tell you what, and typically, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, but in a lot of these cases, it's generally who has the most money and can withstand spending the most money is who ultimately wins. And I'll tell you what, I'm willing to put money that Scott's Miracle Grow got way bigger pockets than Cookie's got or TerrAscend.
Right. I mean, they made $4 billion last year alone.
Just saying.
And they created a Hawthorne to support minority groups in the cannabis industry. You see that?
Is that what it's claimed as?
But Cookies was trying to do the same thing, weren't they?
I'm just asking questions here. I'm just asking questions, right? Rico.
I'm asking too. Like I think that was like Cookies play in New York. The only way that they were going to be able to do what they're doing is if they came in under social equity. And I think the New York shop is trying to become social equity shop and open early.
I think on a broader level for individuals listening, I think the value of some of these companies is being driven down, but they're going to exist. I think that the marijuana stocks are going to go up. We're not right now, but it's a good time to buy low, because I don't think that everybody's going to just get absorbed and go away. I mean, I don't know which companies I would, put my money behind, but it seems like a good idea for some, because some of these bigger ones are going to be, holding a lot of the market share.
I agree with you, Dr. Mary, in some aspects, but when it comes to the stock side on cannabis, I still say short them all. But I do agree with you. If you are going to buy low and stay high.
But tell me this, Jason, you don't think that all these like Scott's Miracle Grow, Amazon, Apple, you don't think they're going to be buying all of these former heavyweight MSOs? You don't think they're going to be buying them pennies on the dollar?
Not until federal legalization. No, I don't think it's going to happen like in the next year or two or even 5.
Well, even if that happens, I can see them getting absorbed in there. Like MedMen, I think 100% MedMen will be.
No way.
Their marketing is too strong, man. People know
their marketing strong, but you're talking about a company like Apple. Okay, Apple won't even let you have a weed app on their app store. Okay, and yet they're going to go and buy plant touching companies.
Yeah, they do. They opened that shit last year.
No, bro. That shit ain't open. Don't get it twisted. No way.
Yes, they fucking did. We covered that story last year.
No.
What are you talking about?
Not like that, bro. They're still super subjective as to how you qualify to be that. And like you can't. My point is this: is you can't be a weed store and have an app and be selling weed through your app on for your store. That's my point.
Yes, no. They allow you to do that now. Yes, 100%.
They allow ketamine.
Yeah, they 100% opened that up last year, and I think like 4 or 5 of my clients have their specific apps in the app store.
And so you can go on the store's app and you can order weed.
Yeah,
get out of here.
States. Yes, 100%.
I'm gonna have to check this out. I might have to build an app for a few stores now.
I think you should.
Might have some more work to do today.
Yes, in legal states.
Especially if you're in a state that's legal, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I just got a wrinkle in my brain today, you guys.
I buy weed off apps all the time, straight up.
I mean, Alibaba doesn't count, Nick.
Alibaba, AliExpress.
Yeah.
That's that booth right there. If you
Yeah,
order
it-
from-
I would have to agree that coming off Alibaba, it's almost certainly boob.
Yeah.
100%. I think this whole thing is going to be very, very interesting because, you know, like cookies, you know, joining a TerraSend group like last year, depending on who you ask and what day you ask them, people will say like TerraSend owns cookies and other people will say that they don't, but whatever. But them joining forces with them last year created them as an international multi-billion-dollar player, right? And so now they're going to be targeted by larger companies like Scott's Miracle Grow, like these other people with interests, whether they're explicit interests or where they're waiting in the wings, like Scott's Miracle Grow is. They're publicly traded companies, so they can't literally have their hands on it, but they have a subsidiary. They created Hawthorne Group to do just that. I think you're gonna see more and more examples of that happening. And if a Cookies or a Curaleaf or whoever who thinks they're big shit in our industry try to fuck with them, they're gonna cut their knees off. Cut the kneecaps off, right? Straight up.
Do you happen to remember what TerraSend's 280E tax liability was that they owe the IRS?
Oh, what was it?
Oh, it was up there, bro. I mean, I don't think they were one of the top 3, but they were, you know, they were on that list.
Right, like
They were on that list.
It's going to be very, very interesting. These we see these MSOs as giants that are fucking us up. The little guys in cannabis, like I don't think they stand a chance against like real publicly traded companies with billions just to burn on legal fees every year.
Exactly.
And like Rico said, they are not waiting until the feds get involved. I mean, most of these companies do have subsidiary shell companies, something like that, where they're buying up, you know, stocks, options, just so they can be ready for when it does go legal. They're already majority owner, you know?
Yes, indeed, man. It's going to be very, very. I think it's going to be a very interesting year on that end of things. And I don't know, man. It's weird that these large companies that don't give a fuck about the little people at all, and they're coming in saying that, oh, we want to help out the little guys. We want to help out the minorities in the cannabis industry. And like,
I mean, couldn't you say the same things about municipalities when they say they want to enact social equity programs?
yeah, yes, 100%. This is why I push for reparations. It's all fucking smoke and mirrors. It's all a bunch of fucking lies. They do not care about minorities in this shit. And if they did, they would have let the little guys, they would have let the people that they said that they want to help right the wrongs of the war on drugs. They would have let them get their licenses first. And they didn't do that.
Restitution, not reparation.
All of that. Give us some money. Either way.
Hey, you know what? Restitution sounds more realistic than reparations. I will give it to the governor on that
I'd
one.
like to hear that Governor Wildstar just kind of expound upon that. What is, the difference in your mind?
Restitution is getting money from the people that are actually liable, the people that are taking from we the people and having them pay up, versus reparations is having everybody pay for the shit. I mean, I don't want to be paying for something that I'm going to get a kickback on. That makes no sense. I want the money to be tax-free, corruption-free, and cut the check, like Rico said.
Give me my money. Let's keep it moving here, man. Let's keep it moving. Up next, we have a very special guest coming on the show with us today. He hops on with us from time to time. He is best known, he and his brother, for the phrase "shut the fuck up." But he's also a Renaissance man. He is a Renaissance man and has practiced law for over 12 years now. One of the infamous Pop brothers at law. Here to join us is Marc Wasserman.
Thank you. I wish I looked like I've been practicing 12 years, but it's actually been 27 years. But that's okay. I won't.
You gotta update the Wikipedia, man. Wikipedia lying on you, bro. Sue him.
That's Wikipedia. I don't even know how that works. But I am here today to share with you a story, not really a story, but something that I've been involved with for the last couple of years, and it's called Penal Code Section 1001.95 in California, and what you need to know about it. And the important thing about what I'm talking about here, two things. Number one, when you get an attorney, you want to make sure the attorney knows all the new laws, statutes, cases, and codes that are coming out as they're coming out. We as attorneys are supposed to keep up on all that, continuing legal education. A very important law that you see right there, California Penal Code Section 1001.95, was signed by Gavin Newsom in 2021 and went into law in 2022. And what it does, I'll read you the beginning of this code section. A judge in the superior court in which a misdemeanor is being prosecuted may, at the judge's discretion and over objection of the prosecuting attorney, offer diversion to a defendant pursuant to certain terms and other conditions. So what that means is, in California, almost any misdemeanor with the exception of sex crimes and violent domestic violence crimes and even DUIs, are eligible. Those three typically are not. All other misdemeanors like cannabis possession, cultivation, distribution, all the cannabis crimes, and all other misdemeanors. In the last year, we've gotten 20 cannabis cases dismissed using this code section, where we have to show our client is suitable and eligible for this diversion, and we come up with terms and conditions. Going to do community service, going to pay some fines, going to do this, going to do that. And then the judge decides, okay, you're going to do these things for 12 to 24 months. We're going to suspend the case. So it's just sitting there. You do all these things, and then the case gets dismissed. It's like it never even happened. And we've actually been successful. We're one of the first attorneys in California, in LA County, to get a DUI diverted. And it was a cannabis DUI where a mother was coming home from a dispensary, was followed by a cop, pulled over in front of her house, and given a DUI cannabis. Now, even though this code section is supposed to exclude DUIs, we were able to successfully argue, with the help of our experts, that the cannabis aspect of this is so different from alcohol, and this type of crime that this person was subjected to should not ruin this person's life in any way by having this misdemeanor on their record, which can affect you getting a job, and other houses, homes, renting, other things can affect your life just with a misdemeanor on your record. The interesting thing to point out is that this person who I'm talking about went to another attorney first, and they were talking about all sorts of different deals that she'd have to make and what she'd have to do, and then in 4 years get it expunged after pleading guilty, because they didn't know this new law. And we have been saving people the last year by utilizing this particular penal code and this motion, because we know it and we're on top of it. And so there's lots of attorneys out there who do the same thing, but there's lots of attorneys who don't. And in the criminal defense arena, you do not want an attorney who doesn't know that the misdemeanor you just got could actually be dismissed somewhat easily by you doing a few things here and there. And we've gotten these cases dismissed, as the penal code says, over the objection of the prosecutors. And we hear them prosecute. We recently, 2 days ago, we got a case dismissed, 100 pounds. That's right. 100 pounds of cannabis our client was caught with in his car. He shut the fuck up, which is always going to help. And it's a misdemeanor. The prosecuting attorney was alleging our client was an international drug dealer when she was arguing to the judge that there's no way you should divert 100 pounds. And we successfully argued, weight doesn't matter. It's a misdemeanor. it shouldn't ruin this guy's life. And we got that diverted. We got a 20-pound case diverted. We're getting cases diverted left and right when people, it's a combination of a penal code like this, shutting the fuck up so you don't screw yourself and make things worse, and then finding the right attorney who knows how to handle your case and knows all the current laws. I'm Marc Wasserman, Pop Brothers at Law, special correspondents for your High at 9 News.
Oh yeah, Mark, this is fantastic news. Now, I'm a little bit confused because you initially said the three things, like sex crimes and whatnot, but you said DUI, but you also went in and said that you got someone off of a cannabis DUI with this. Can you kind of elaborate what would be the difference in those situations? Because my initial interpretation would be like, if you got a DUI, you would be eligible for it as long as you didn't damage anyone or any property. But if you did, then you wouldn't be subject to that.
No, the code and the legislative intent goes into this diversion not applying to DUIs and typical DUIs, because they don't want somebody out there drinking and driving and then being able to get their case dismissed just like that. So it's not so easy. We had to go in. We had to basically school the judge on how cannabis works in your body, and how our expert explains that there's no way to show that this person was impaired. She wasn't pulled over for impaired driving. She was just the guy followed her from a freaking dispensary, and that's it. And so when you're able to show, and we also got an alcohol DUI diverted as well, but under those extreme circumstances, we have the right set of facts in our favor, the right person, no record, it was a single parent, kids to raise. This misdemeanor is going to just mess everything up, never done anything. For 2 years, go to AA meetings, do this, do that, do a bunch of things to earn the dismissal. Because what you're doing is you're basically making a contract with the judge. I'm going to do A through Z during this period of time. And if you don't, well, then the judge can haul you off and take you to jail.
And so can they reinstate? Can't they reinstate to eliminate the leniency that they gave you and just go harsher?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, a lot of these deals, so a typical DUI with no extenuating circumstances could land you in jail for 6 months. So if you make a deal, hey, I'm going to do all these things for you, judge, in the next year, and then you come back a year later and you haven't, you're going to jail right there, possibly for 6 months if the judge wants to take you in.
Now I just got the funniest vision of your client, because either to me in my mind is one or the other. There really isn't any other option other than these two. Is either one, they stopped at a dispensary that sold them 100 pounds, which bravo for them. However that worked out, and you know what I'm saying. Or two, they had 100 P's in the trunk, okay, Rico, and then they stopped at a store to buy weed to drive home.
Stupid.
I am bound by attorney-client privilege.
I'm not expecting you to extrapolate in any way, Mark. I'm just trying to use the general common sense rule of thumb, and that to me is not a lot of common sense involved in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when people don't have common sense ain't that common anyways, and this is why you should first shut the fuck up. And
I mean, at least they had that. At least they had the common sense, and thank goodness for the script. And thank you, Mark, for all the work that you do to educate everybody on all of these things, because I can definitely see it making a difference overall.
Thank you.
So,
my pleasure.
That cop that pulled that woman over sounds like a real piece of work, to follow her all the way from the dispensary, all the way to where she's about to pull into her driveway, and then flip on the lights. And then you're right there thinking, I got home safely. He's not going to pull me over. I'm just going to go in my house and have some hot cocoa. Her heart's been racing the whole way. And then he pops her right outside her house. I mean,
what a piece of shit.
Dr. Mary, do you think maybe he just thought she was hot and he had a crush on her?
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys that doesn't pick up his laundry and then tells you he did.
Yes.
Oh man, we got to keep it moving. Thank you so much for that, Mark. Flying into LAX and you want to taste some of the best weed in the world? Then stop by LAXCC, the closest dispensary to LAX, located at 8332 Lincoln Boulevard and open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Always make LAXCC your first stop when you touch down in LA and score like a winner. And don't forget to tell them I sent you and mention you'd like to get high at 9 for 10% off your full order. The thoughts and opinions and general overall shade thrown at High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers, not those of any other speaker or its followers. The statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers do not make any representation regarding the legal status of any substance in any country, area, territory, or any authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish any fiduciary relationship, and our sponsors do not imply or constitute any endorsement by us or the expression of any opinion whatsoever on the part of any speaker on stage. If you are an easily offended person, this show is probably not for you. And if so, maybe you should go find that store that sells 100 pounds.
Oh, yeah. Long rips today.
Getting
Big
it.
that. Yeah, Liz.
Ms. Grow, look at you go.
Did you get that? That
I
strength?
got work to do, y'all.
Yeah, I dig it. Coming up next, she's a Manhattan-based 25-year board-certified integrative medicine internist and two-time best-selling author. But when the CEO of Based Medicinals is not cooking up converted treatment excellence for y'all asses, y'all know where you can find her. Maybe in front of that camera. I don't know what network, though. What you got for us, Dr. Mary Clifton? Welcome back to the show.
Welcome to High at 9 News, everybody. Thank you, Rico, for that introduction. My article is from Marijuana Moment, and it's titled, Marijuana Isn't Associated with Hangover Effects, Raising Questions About Driving and Employment Policies, Study Finds. This is a new scientific review that is challenging the idea that the marijuana hangover effect the day after use, raising questions about the policies that punish drivers and people in safety-sensitive positions for cannabis consumption that occurs weeks prior to drug tests being administered. Researchers, and this is a good study, y'all, researchers at the University of Sydney reviewed 20 studies that looked at the effects of marijuana 8 hours after use. So 20 individual studies in different locations looking at the effects of marijuana 8 hours after use, and they focused on performance assessments. Their findings are set to be published in the Journal of Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research. Most studies don't look at this 8 hours out. They're looking for the immediate effect. So there were some limitations simply based on the amount of data. But overall, it appears that there is limited scientific evidence to support the assertion that cannabis use impairs next day performance. So further research is still required to fully address this issue. There were a total of 350 performance assessments that were administered across 20 studies. So again, 350 assessments, 20 studies, still a small number of studies, and they were low quality studies, but the next day effect is still not being picked up really at all. And then the article goes into, if you want to do a review of all of the data on driving safety when you've been using cannabis, they do a very nice job of reviewing many of these studies, many of which I've already reviewed with you here, so I don't want to bore you with them. But don't forget about the study published in 2019 that concluded that those who drive at the legal THC limit, 2 to 5 nanograms in their blood, were not statistically more likely to be involved in an accident. And another study just published last year that found that smoking CBD-rich marijuana had no significant impact on driving ability, despite the fact that all the study participants exceeded the per se limit for THC in the blood. I'm Dr. Mary Clifton for High at 9 News.
Are you saying, Dr. Mary, that this is the first piece of medical evidence that proves that there's no such thing as drug driving?
Well, I think that we're going to have a very hard time climbing up the hill that shows that driving while on cannabis causes problems for the driver. I think it might make them go a little slower. It might make them more aware. But we just don't have the evidence to suggest that driving while on cannabis or is going to cause a problem. But this study specifically looked at next day, which is exactly what we were talking about earlier, that you stay up all night drinking and you go to work the next day and you're still probably drunk on your way to work when you get to be over 40 or 50. But if you use cannabis the night before, you should have it cleared out and not have a hangover 8 hours later, which is so marvelous for productivity, right? To be able to go party and then to be able to go to work the next day and not be, all blitzed out from a night of drinking.
Mm-hmm.
You guys in a lower gear to get up that hill.
Mark, are these types of studies things that you will actually use in court in order to get defendants off of DUI and sway juries or judges on particular issues?
Yes, we have our experts. We have medical experts, we have cannabis experts, DUI experts to combat and illustrate everything Dr. Mary just said, that it cannot be quantified. Like California, 0.08 is the legal limit, the limit that if you hit 0.08, it's a legal presumption that you are impaired to drive. And that's through decades of the research and the testing and all that stuff. And there is nothing to quantify how much you have in your blood in terms of nanograms of THC with impaired driving, which is why when you're, if you've used cannabis a week ago, it's still in your system a day ago, 30 days. And so you run the risk of when you get pulled over and they take your blood, that's going to show up. Now, if all we have to contend with is blood that has a bunch of THC nanograms in it, I'm going to have an easy time with all my experts to explain everything. Versus the person who said, well, officer, I just smoked 3 hours ago. I just smoked last night. I've had cases where those things have been said. And ultimately, we got to cut a deal because somebody sitting on the jury in Reefer Madness, oh my gosh, smoked last night. You probably still high. You can't drive. You can't drive after 3 hours.
That stuff's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Hashtag
it's Reefer Madness.
STFU.
Yeah.
It's Reefer Madness that you're fighting with this education.
Shut your mouth. Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to have to go through this. But I mean, even with all of these very reassuring studies, I want to be very clear that around the world, it is illegal to drive intoxicated. So these are interesting scientific conversations. I think we're going to have to refocus on fentanyl and alcohol and just leave the cannabis users alone because I think it's going to shake out to not matter once we get science behind it. But in the meantime, do not drive intoxicated, please.
Mark, does this mean that you just can't have it proven beyond a reasonable doubt that cannabis was at fault here, right? And this is why you should just shut the hell up. What if the officer comes to your window and says, "Have you been smoking marijuana?" You just not say anything at all. You say,
I'm not discussing
my day.
I got to call my lawyer. A lawyer, please.
I'm not discussing
You
my
have the
day.
right to say no.
I'm not discussing my day.
There's a
Well,
script,
you don't want to lie.
man. Look at this. There's a script.
That's it. I have mine.
Okay,
too.
look at this. I have it on my mug.
It's only
That's
25
so
words.
cool.
That's how you protect yourself.
Barbecue.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, you should, Mark. You've got so many. Where's your social? I mean, where's the media where we can watch you? Because I watched you in Vegas. Remember at the Bud Tenders event.
Yeah, G4 Live.
G4 Bud Tenders. And he was calling people up on stage, and then after he had done his whole presentation and he was giving away nice presents, but you had to follow the script. And even after we all listened 3 or 4 times, you had to kick 3 or 4 people off the stage because he came up to me at Mike Tyson's party after and he was like, do you think that I was too mean?
Well, no, Mark.
He's got to be mean. I failed like 5 times.
Mark is going to be with us tomorrow, and I'm sure that we will grab some member from the audience so important to do the
quiz time.
25
Script
word script,
challenge.
because tomorrow is Shut the Fuck Up Friday, and
Yes.
Mark is going to be with us also tomorrow.
I will.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Oh man, we got to run this commercial though. We're running behind time, you guys.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's a blunt blowing Fresno-based man of the people, representing the Black conservative voice whose just existence Joe Biden would love to silence you for even acknowledging it exists. That's right. Coming up next, the Nickolas Wildstar.
What's up? What's up? Thank you very much for that introduction, Jason. Hey, last week, a California lawmaker introduced a bill that would allow eating food at cannabis dispensaries and enjoying live events at consumption lounges. Currently, California's cannabis dispensaries are not allowed to sell any non-cannabis food, while consumption lounges, restaurants where cannabis can be consumed, are restricted from selling tickets for live events. Assembly Bill 374 aims to ease these regulations by allowing local governments to manage their own rules. If passed, AB 374 could alter operations throughout the state and make it entirely possible to order a side of French fries with a pre-rolled joint at a dispensary, or enjoy a meal while watching stand-up comedy or live music at a consumption lounge. Assemblyman Matt Haney introduced AB 374 on February 1st. The San Francisco legislator says the move is meant to support struggling legalizing cannabis businesses, particularly because of the robust black market for cannabis in California. As it currently stands, many legal cannabis dispensaries are reporting underwhelming revenues, high taxes, of course, resulting in higher than street prices, and even market oversaturation, which is happening in Palm Springs. In an interview with KQED, Haney says the bill would help to inject economic life into cannabis businesses. If an authorized cannabis retail store wants to sell someone cannabis, a cup of tea, and a sandwich, we should allow cities to make that possible and stop holding back our economy and the service that people want, says Haney. Those things are all illegal under state law now. AB 374 would permit dispensaries to sell non-infused food and beverages, while cannabis consumption lounges can opt for non-cannabis infused food, selling non-alcoholic beverages, and allowing and selling tickets for live musical or other performances. In West Hollywood, one of the two consumption lounges dispensaries, the Artistry Studio Cannabis Lounge, already sells food from an outside vendor and hosts live events like stand-up comedy and drag brunches. For decades, West Hollywood officials lean towards cannabis-friendly policies and will likely welcome the loosened restrictions. Palm Springs also holds a similar stance with 10 consumption lounges that vastly outnumber West Hollywood's. California cannabis laws can be incredibly complicated. Some might recall the original cannabis cafe was forced to split into two separate businesses, a restaurant and a cannabis retail establishment. This was a costly solution that led SoCal's first consumption lounge to maintain a mostly empty non-cannabis section to comply with state and local laws. In 2019, West Hollywood City Council updated regulations to allow patrons to take leftovers home from the original cannabis cafe, which remains temporarily closed. If passed, AB 374 should help, at least in some small way, to streamline the still growing California cannabis sector. This is Nick Wildstar, a.k.a. the Governor, reporting for the High at 9 News Hour. Speak now or forever hold your peace. And I'm out
So
there.
I'm sorry, the only thing I heard was pot and French fries.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Well, I mean, Do you think this is a movement towards, all dispensaries just becoming lounges?
I mean, this what it really is. I think is really, this bill is extremely important and definitely necessary. And I want to commend the assembly member for putting this bill forward, because the reality is that this is a path forward for these cannabis consumption lounges to actually be a viable business. They're not going to be able to be standalone, not being able to offer and operate under these different regulatory frameworks where you have to have half of the, you're in a 2-address building where, one address is the restaurant and one address is the floor of the consumption lounge, and all you're doing is doing basically to-go orders on plates.
Right.
It's not a sustainable, that doesn't make sense. It's not realistic type of way to do business. So this bill is definitely needed. I hope people do get behind it and support. I know we're going to talk about this more and more and more as more cities come on with consumption lounges and whatnot. And so, exactly, they need to do exactly, Justin, they need to do just like the social clubs in Spain. That's right. Social clubs in Spain are amazing. I hope everyone has a great time out there in Spanibus for that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I was thinking about Lowell too. Lowell had a cafe that was really cool, but it closed down. So I thought that this
Lowell
was
had naming rights to a cafe.
Okay, and so this is like you could have the cafe if like Cookies wanted to open up a bakery.
Well, High Times actually bought their license. High Times has that cafe now, and it's going to be opening up as the High Times Cannabis Cafe.
Cool. I think it's awesome. Give it to me. Give me carbs and weed.
Carbs and weed.
I mean, all day.
I mean,
I'll buy a year pass.
Will you be able to bring your guns into this lounge?
In Texas, yes.
In Texas, yeah. In open carry states.
Yeah, and just have a range out back too. Just like impaired shooting.
Absolutely no
contests.
Rico, you
it has a big 3-screen porch out back. That's where the shows go. And then beyond the porch are a bunch of bison grazing.
You just hop on and get
bison down.
Just get totally roasted and just hop on one of those mechanical bulls.
I mean, but this will also too enable dispensaries even to sell food, and so you can basically go and buy yourself an eighth, a bag of chips, and a bottle of water or a Sprite and whatever, and you're on your way. So this is great all the way around.
Got some lean, got some green. And now you got, mechanical bulls. But coming up, we're almost at time, so I'm gonna make sure we keep it moving here. This Lone Star State advocate and storyteller is the co-founder of Grow House Media, host of the Feminized podcast, where she interviews some of the dopest women in the game, and she also provides tips on growing premium windowsill Delta 8 flower. Up next, you know who it is. It is Liz Grow.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I've got such important breaking news to share with you guys. The majority of Americans plan to use or gift cannabis on Valentine's Day, says new survey. This story came through Forbes. Yeah, come on. Tell us something we don't know. But I always like to, read a survey and, see what it says, see what trends it reveals. So this survey it only polled 961 Americans between January 24th and 29th. Okay, and it was commissioned by Verano Holdings, which is a multi-state operator. You guys might be familiar with that, but we don't have shit in Texas, so I'm not. Anyway, the findings of this study, the highlights include 19 million Americans will decide to gift cannabis on Valentine's Day, so that's pretty dope. Parents are more likely to use or gift cannabis than non-parents. Nearly 1 in 4 adults believe cannabis improves their sexual performance. Men are more likely than women to incorporate cannabis into Valentine's plans. American adults in the Northeast are more likely to use or gift cannabis than those in the Midwest. And Gen Z and millennials are significantly more likely than Gen X and boomers to include cannabis in their Valentine's Day plans. So I just want everybody to know I will only be accepting cannabis gifts this year. And everybody should know my size is 1 ounce. So in the meantime, this is Liz Grow reporting live from deep in the heart of Texas for High at 9 News. Are y'all giving cannabis for this Valentine's Day?
Now Big Chocolate is going to be after us too, in addition to Big Pharma.
That's what they.
Well, I mean, I'm not.
The
You should work
THC
together.
infused.
I'm not surprised at all in
Big
this.
chocolate.
Okay, think about it. What do you buy women for Valentine's Day? You buy them flowers. That's right. So I'm not surprised at all that more women are going to be accepting cannabis flowers as opposed to rose petals, or maybe
That's right.
they're going to get rose petal pre-rolls and you're going to get a 2-for-1.
Hopefully, they don't jack up the price.
Whatever you have,
80%
whatever
like
you
they
have
do regular
access to.
flowers.
You know, I would not like Delta 8 flower, but that's only because my lover knows how to get better. Okay. But some people out there do not have better and they dream of having better. And so you get the best that you can get with lab tests. Okay. And make
So,
some
so
sweet
you
love.
get
And have
lab
some
tested
fun.
love. You get
Yeah.
lab tested love on Valentine's Day. That's what you get.
Yes.
And
I'm
Liz,
just saying, yes, you got to have that COA so you can be comfortable moving forward.
And then
Liz.
improve the
Liz, I have a-
intimacy and
I have a
increase
question.
the intensity of the experience for the woman. All good.
Yeah. Yes,
Shout out to
Jason,
Gloria.
Alexander.
Liz, I have a
Yeah.
question for you. In this, there was a quote from a friend of ours, friend of the show, the canisexual.
Really?
Yes.
Ashley
Shout out Ashley
Manta.
Manta.
Yes. Can you tell us what Ashley had to say in this article?
Yes.
I
let
am
me-
fascinated to hear this, and I'm sure our audience is going to want to know what
Me
the
too, me
canisexual
too.
is talking about with giving all this weed away on Valentine's Day.
I'm looking for the quote and I can't find the quote. So
Ashley Manta is extendo fam.
I'm so sorry. Oh, no, Dr.
No.
Shannon Chavez. Oh, here we go.
No, there we
thank
go.
you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Keep
okay,
on
okay.
scrolling, girl.
Thank you. Ashley Manta, the canisexual. When I work with parents in my coaching practice, one of their most common areas of concern is struggling to shift out of parent brain and into partner brain. So it's not surprising that parents would use or gift cannabis for Valentine's Day. Parents are still people in a relationship, and the relationship has connection needs that benefit from intentional effort and prioritization. So that's what she said,
Dig it.
Ashley.
right?
I love it.
That was
I love
Ashley.
it. Yeah. Shout
So
out to Ashley.
I love Ashley
recommendation
Manta.
is
Shout
to
out.
get high and focus on your partner for a little while.
Yeah, man. Eat some
Oh,
chocolate.
That's a
Do
great
that.
one.
I gotta say it. Shut the fuck up and
Yeah. That's right.
Y'all got
Yes!
5 days
That's
left.
it.
I want
ST
that Valentine's shirt.
STFUF.
F.
there it is.
Y'all got 5 days left.
STFUFUCK.
Y'all got 5 days left to get to stock up on some of that good this weekend, and make sure you're giving the real flowers, not that Delta 8 inches bullshit. Delta 9.
Get what you
Listen,
got. Give
Mhm,
what you got.
mhm.
Go.
Let's take us out, Jason.
And and I do want to make one real quick mention. We were talking about these consumption lounges, and House of Fuego, who's been doing an amazing job for us over on our internet. I hope everyone goes and checks that out and sees the work that they've been doing. High@9news.com. Check it out. They said that they're working on with a consumption lounge too, and this law would extremely be helpful for them. And the club out there that they're working with is called Cyrus Social Club. So
Cirrus.
Cirrus, there we go.
In
Cirrus.
Denver.
Yep, there we go.
I got you.
looks like it's Cyrus to me, but whatever. It could be
Gotcha.
whatever y'all want to claim it as. I'm all with that. Thank you all for getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big thank yous to our audience and supporters for always tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Thank you to all of our haters, because we have the most immaculate pieces of property rent-free inside of your head. Huge thank you to our sponsors, True Classic, iSpire, Wizard Trees, DNA Genetics, LAXCC, keeping rolling with us. Thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you, Mark, for coming in and spending some time with us today, guest starring with us as well. Make sure you go and check out the popbrothers@law.com. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, Zaza Simone Brown, holding it down for us in Clubhouse and helping us make this space in the universe. Thank you all for getting high at 9 with us today and every day. And it's America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Run it at 'em.